At some point in the digital age of boss babes, new money, and ambitious rookies, we stopped consulting our village's wisest. Women have been the heartbeat of the world within their respective communities, workforces, and families since the dawn of time. They are the magic makers, the peacemakers, and the ass kickers. Let's celebrate them with the Matriarchy Party. Hello, good morning, and welcome back to Matriarchy Party. I am so excited to talk with my friend Tasha today. You guys, you're not even ready for this. First, I'm going to dive in to her badass bio here. Makeup artist and groomer Tasha Reiko Brown has a stellar, ever-growing client list that includes some names that you may recognize, just up-and-coming indie artists here: Michael B. Jordan, Alicia Keys, Denzel Washington, Tracy Ellis Ross, Regé-Jean Page, Jamie Foxx, and Gabrielle Union, and so many more. I'm constantly amazed at seeing your client roster on Instagram. She's a Chanel beauty ambassador and also serves as an ambassador for Chanel's men's line, Boy de Chanel. Her talent and fresh approach to beauty has made her work a favorite with publications such as, again, very small independent publications like GQ, Vogue, Elle, Glamour, Numero, Porter, and Vanity Fair, amongst others. With a talent in the lab for formulations, she's consulted with brands on their color ranges and formulations. Her expertise takes her around the world on international press and music tours. And that's how we met on Creed 3 with Michael B. Jordan last February. Tasha, thanks for being here.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me. It's so much fun. I love talking about Matriarch. I love talking about my mother. I love talking about my career. All of this really, really works. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. And we are on Zoom, as if you'll see on social that we are away, but we're both wearing red lipstick and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed on this Friday morning, capturing this. I am so inspired by you. I think from the moment, and our mutual friend Tiffany Smith, hi Tiffany, shout out, was like, you have to meet Tasha. Oh my gosh, she's going to be on this tour. And I didn't know anybody on the team at that time. And it was like, as soon as you just have this glow of power, talent, and just like warm energy that like follows you around. You're so amazing at your job. I'm always saying like the publications, the social collaborations that you're doing, and obviously your talent, your client list, that is so amazing, but also just looking fantastic on every carpet and shoot that they're at. So I'm just so inspired by you, and you're so amazing at everything that you do. I am honored that you're here with me. So today, spoiler alert, we're talking about your matriarch, who is your mother that you had said. We'll start with a little bit about you. I always start off with, when we think of a matriarch, we think of a woman who's the head of their family, tribe, or organization. When in your life did you feel like you had to demonstrate those traits, whether by necessity or not?
Ooh, I am currently the matriarch of my family. I know I don't think I look like what one thinks of when they think of a matriarch. I think they think of something a little bit older, a little bit probably more wise, but currently I'm the matriarch of my family. And yeah, I am the go-to. I am the sage advice dealer. I am sometimes occasionally the financial backer, but yes.
All parts of being a mom.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Do you have one teenage son?
I have one teenage son, and I have two sisters that I am their go-to for things. So
I love it. Are you the eldest daughter?
I am the middle daughter, which surprises me that I've had to this role, but I'm so capable. And I'm also the most respecting of the role. So I think it's perfect for me. It's perfect that I've taken over this role.
I love that. So a role you were born to play, no doubt.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that, becoming a matriarch in a traditional sense of birthing a child, do you feel like you immediately felt like, well, I am the matriarch now. Look at me. I have lineage. Or was it a certain instance over the years that you're like, oh, if I do it, nobody else is going to do it? Or if there's a specific story, or you just end up like finding yourself constantly, maybe as a middle child before you were a mom, thinking, I'm the advice giver. I'm the one who has everyone's backs.
Kind of like I've always, because I'm the most outspoken, I'm the most pushy, I'm the most, stand-up person in the family. So I've kind of always a little bit played that role. But in having kids, and having my son, it's not that immediate. I, I think that's another fairy tale they tell you, that immediately you're just transformed into this super being that knows it all, has it all, because you have someone, looking up to you that is 100% dependent on you. I remember when I had him, I was surprised that they let me leave the hospital. I was like, wait, no one's going to supervise us. You're just going to let me walk out of here with this child, because it's a task. It's overwhelming, and you find yourself along the way. You find being a mother along the way. And a lot of times you find being a mother along the way through mistakes. I think I'm a really good mom because I made so many mistakes. I think I'm a really good artist because I made so many mistakes. I think that's how you have to learn those things. They're not magically bestowed on you in the hospital bed. Yeah.
Well, no, I was just going to echo that from what I see, like friends who are like, but I'm just a child bride. I'm just a teenager in my 30s or something. Like, you're going to let me walk out of this hospital room with no manual?
It's funny. Like when I was pregnant, I was like, oh, it was more about like, it's about a baby, and it's kind of about fun stuff. Your girlfriends are all excited. You get a baby shower. You're doing the thing. You're designing the room. But I think it's not till the very end where you're like super, super huge in reality. Like, oh my gosh, this has to come out of me somehow. I'm just, I'm not like just me pregnant. I'm literally a vessel for this child that I now have to take care of. But all the ways it doesn't even hit you in the hospital, because you push the little button and the nurse comes and they help you and they're so sweet and they tell you what to do. I think it's not until you're leaving and you're just, we see other people who, like you said, women have been having babies forever. You see other people have it. You just assume that they have it together.
Something switches on.
Yeah, you just assume. And so when it's you do feel like a teenager in your 30s just leaving with the child. Like, oh my God. It's overwhelming. And I think, but it's also, it's rewarding because you discover so much about yourself, and you get to have this person in your life to share your life with. So it's amazing, but you figure it out on the way.
That is magical. I just have fur children, but they're a lot of work too. So I can only imagine. Do you feel like do you and your sisters have what's the age difference between?
We're all 2 years apart. So one is 2 years older, one is 2 years younger.
Oh, okay. See, and I'm like, I have a twin brother, and so technically he's the oldest by 2 minutes, but I feel like I'm like, technically, I'm the oldest daughter, but I'm not the oldest, but just knew I was just like a little mother hen to all siblings from just a little age. But it's funny how things are just instilled within you. I'm sure through your career now, you've had so many amazing milestones, accomplishments, and success has probably evolved, and what that looks like, especially within your personal life as well as professional life. Like, what do you think that meant to you when you were first starting out, and what do you think it means to you now?
I think when I was first starting out, success looked like something a lot more flashy. Success looked like a lot of recognition. Success looked like, tying yourself to your client. The client with the fancier name, that must mean I'm amazing because they're amazing, which is not true. They are totally separate. So I just had my idea of success was not, it served me at the time, I think, but as you grow and you get those things, or you don't get those things that you think you want, it changes. But success for me when I was younger looked a lot more flashy. It just looked like, it looked a little more fairy tale. I could be super mom. I could work with big names, and I would just, travel a lot and be fancy while I was traveling. Like those things. It did. It served me at the time. And then you mature and you're like, no, it's not about the name of the talent you're working with. It's about the art you create together. I've created great art with anybody and everybody. I think now success looks like to me time and energy. Like in my working jobs where all my energy is drained and I'm just sapped at the end of the day, and success for me now looks like no. That doesn't.
Ooh, I love that.
Being able to say no is so powerful, and you have to be successful to say no. Because when I was with my son when I was younger, single mom, I was like, oh, I say no to nothing.
Yes.
I'm a single mom. My mother was an immigrant, and she really instilled in me hard work when she came, to this country. She's like, well, you just work hard, you just work hard, you just work hard. So I felt like I couldn't say no to anything. So even I had those things, I was exhausted. I was never fully present where I was because my schedule was so packed. It's still packed, but it's packed in a way that fulfills me. So success now, it looks like peace. It looks like it's still packed. It's still crazy. We met when we were going from London to Paris, to Utah, to Chicago. Like it's an insane schedule, but I'm creating great art. Like Mike's a great person to create great art with. I admire what he does. I'm in awe of him. I'm in awe of his stylist, my friend Jason, you're creating good art and you can say no. That's my success.
Is so profound because I think the no is a complete sentence is so hard to stick to that boundary, especially, this is not your first rodeo. You've been doing your art form in this business for many years. How many, decades?
I've never had another job. I've been doing this since I was 18. I've been doing this for 22, professionally, probably 24 years.
Wow. Okay. And that's amazing because I feel like it's rare to find people that have had one job and love it, still evolving so much about the job and the types of jobs and the types of clients you're looking for and what success means is evolving. But as a creative, I'm sure it's just your style, the products you're using, the types of events, the trends that are changing. There's so much growth, whereas a lot of people can kind of stay stagnant in their career. But to have one and be passionate about it for more than 20 years is so exciting. But I think and I've only had my own business for a little over 2 years, and I'm still learning even the first year, I was like, yes to everything. We're doing it all. It's great. And I think the older I get, especially, and not having done this for myself for that long, as an entrepreneur, it's scary because you're like, you're paying your bills and your insurance and you are in charge of that aspect. And especially when you have children and a family to provide for in that way, I can imagine you just have to say yes to everything. So the ability to say no and prioritize yourself, your wellness and your nervous system and being able to have a balance of some sort and take care of yourself. That's so admirable. And what I'm trying to work, I think some of these jobs, although you're in fantasy life and you're gallivanting around on jets and eating and drinking and staying at the nicest places, and for everybody looking in is it doesn't feel like work, but it's still 14-hour days and it's still no sleep. And I think choosing to work with people and on projects that are really energy fuelers or filling your cup is so important. And somebody like Michael B., I think, and I've worked with him obviously not as consistently as you, but it's so cool to observe in even such a small way of, if you're to that level of success, I think the rising tide lifts all ships mentality. He travels with his team of 8 or 10 trusted people, and the art that you can create and a trusting, loving family of an environment. You're all there to do a good job and work hard. But I just think that is so cool because that's the dream is you're successful and you get to tap into the people that you admire and respect and want around you because you obviously all are so connected. And I'm sure that's that with a lot of your clients that you're it's equal, game recognizes game. You want to work with them as much as they want to work with you. And if that respect wasn't there, it wouldn't fill your cup as much. But choosing to work with people like that really are energy givers and contribute to the balance and wellness of your holistic life. That's pretty cool. That's the goal.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Well, it's amazing. With Mike, specifically Mike, he is a leader, not just in title, but he leads by example. Mm-hmm. So if you think this is a long day and we're working a lot of hours in the breaks when everyone's resting, he's working even harder.
Yeah.
I think that but with him, he is so good at what he does. And a lot of his talents, his natural talents, they come to him so easily that I think sometimes it's hard to miss. You could miss like the sheer hard work that he puts into it and that we put into it. Like you said, we're flying around, we're doing all these things from the outside. It looks glamorous. They're like, oh, you're just running around, and eating and drinking. I'm like, I don't have a film coming out. I don't have an album dropping. Like, I know it looks, my office is fancy, but trust me, we are putting in, I mean, from morning till it is work. And a lot of, with what I do, a lot of people miss it too, because, it's like, oh, it's just grooming. You're just making sure. I'm like, no, it's not a lot. It's not just, it's a lot. What you're dealing with is 20 years of expertise to make sure that it looks, I'm not there.
Exactly. You're like, actually, thank you for thinking that I'm not working here, because I want it to be so seamless that the client just spoke up like this and I am barely touching him because of the 20 years of your craft building and probably just your process. And I think that it's interesting when you look at what it looks like from the outside looking in. It's just always fascinating to me, because I think you're like, we are being able to be present in a way that you're not missing anything, that you're catching with the light, you're catching like, oh, he turned his head this way and that's not as great as this. Or I feel like you were interjecting at, along with a stylist and barber. I know there's other people that are kind of on your team to make him look and feel his best, but there's so much more than just what people think on the outside, I think, of just even any makeup, glam, hair. You're like, oh, you're just fixing it. And then you go off on your day and you're like, no, it's all day being engaged. And he's answered just as much as it's probably boring for him to answer the same 5 questions. And they do it so effortlessly. Like, you're in the room listening to that with no sleep and locked in on his face all day. And it's just very fascinating.
Well, it's also like, it's the work we do that you don't see, like you said, like artists and doing it so long. And with artists, it's like adapt or die. You know what I mean? You have to stay on top of the product, stay on top of new formulations, stay on top of new trends. What did this dress look like when it went down the runway? This is an archive piece. How do we balance this against, the mood the mood of this press tour, in relation to the film. So there's a lot of work that goes on before you can even do start. The work.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, and I find that with social too. Like, there's so much before the post hits the internet of strategy and research and all the things that nobody would guess is part of the process. But you're like, it needs to be part of like the big picture, and where do I fit in? And they're looking to me as an expert in this, and I need to contribute my thoughts and vision and make sure it's aligned with the rest of the teams. And it's a whole process, but it's amazing to watch from the outside. Do you feel like, what do you have coming up that you're very excited about?
Award season. We're just out of a strike, so a lot of things we should have already done. The Emmys, they're pushed to in the middle of award season. So I think on January 2nd, we have Palm Springs Film Festival, and then it's just a go. It's a go, events, parties, promotions, press. I think it's going to be a really busy award season. And that is all. But award season, it's busy. It's almost like, it's busy, but it's also so much fun. It's very stressful. There's a lot of photos and high def and things. Content is created so fast during award season, and you're just constantly having to create. So it is exhausting in that way of like, I'm cursed. If you have 3 clients that day, I'm just, creativity on call sometimes. So it's a creative, exhausting, but it's so rewarding. So yeah, award season I'm excited about.
That's so exciting. And especially after doing many award seasons, to feel that rush of excitement. And I do think it takes a special kind of person to be fueled by that stress of like, there's a lot on the line and we have a little time to do it and we're running around. And especially when you have multiple projects and clients, like that's a lot of pressure. But then to feel like, yes, I crushed it at the end of it, like must feel so good.
It feels good. It feels good. So if you're compelled to create art, if you're an artist and you're compelled to create art and that is what you do, then it comes with the process. It's going to be a little stressful. It's going to, no matter what your campus, you could have stretch canvas in front of you, oils, watercolors, acrylics, it doesn't matter, a face with a bone structure, it comes part of the process, the stress, how is this going to be received when the public views my art? Like it's an artist's life. It's an artist's life. I don't think I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah.
I love that. The adrenaline, the artist life. That's just very inspiring. I love that. Do you, how do you prepare for something scary?
I don't. I just say the same thing over and over. It's like, I'm nervous. Okay, I just have to do it nervous. I'm scared. Okay, I just have to do it scared. That doesn't mean I don't get to do it. Means that's not like a way out. Like, oh, I'm too nervous, or oh, I'm so scared that I need to prepare a certain way. It's like, you know what? Honor my feeling. This terrifies me, but you're just going to have to do it scared. Like it's an emotion that you're feeling, but you can't let it affect the outcome or how you move. You stay steady, Freddie. You move how you move, because when you start adjusting because you're scared of things, for me, that's when it becomes a problem. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. It's like, no, muscle memory. You know what to do. You've got this. It's just an emotion. So do it scared. Do it scared. You've done it tired. That shouldn't change how it moves. You've done it agitated. That shouldn't change how you operate. You've done it, I'm feeling a million different emotions, but as long call the thing, call it what it is. I'm scared, but I still have to do it how I do it. When you adjust is when you get into problems, because you're operating from fear.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's so true.
You operate from fear, and you'll start to, as far as like what I do, if I operate from fear, I'll play to the crowd. If I'm like, I'm scared, to do her makeup, she's a thing, I don't know, I don't know if I can, the quality or just any way that you're nervous, then you will not be your artist self, which is what she hired you for. She hired you for your vision. If you're working, she didn't want you to do what someone else has done, because they would have hired that person. So clearly they hired you for your vision. But if you get scared to execute things your way, and I've done it, I've made that mistake, you start to play to the crowd. Well, what will people think is cool on her? So then it seems like a win. But then it's inauthentic. I just played to the crowd. Like, I bet you, well, they love when she looks like this, or if I do this, people will think it's cool. But but that's not your. It's not you. It's not you. Go with your intuition when you're creating things. So yeah, I don't like to shift too much just because I'm scared. I'm like, you just got to eat that.
Brilliant. You're allowed to feel whatever you're feeling, but we still have to do the job. So show up scared or sad or mad or happy or joyful or excited, but do what you're hired to do, like what you're an expert at. You're capable. That's why they're paying you the big bucks. I love that.
Yeah, in life too. I'm like, oh, this scares me. We'll do it scared. It's fine. That's
great advice.
Yeah, it means you're still invested. You're still in it. You're still living, because things scare you. You're excited. You're terrified. And everything's firing the way it should be. So you're good. That's why I tell myself.
You're right. You're like, that's why I can do this career for as long as you've been doing it. Because it's still exciting and a little scary. Like if you were just showing up, it'd be kind of like a less creative, kind of more lazy way. If you're just like, yeah, I'm good at this and I have no anxiety at all. I feel like it wouldn't be as fun for you, and you wouldn't be getting the result that people bring you on to create. But
yeah, for sure.
Do you have a time where asking for what you want paid off?
Always. Yeah. It's funny. Always asking for what I want always pays off, because I feel empowered that I did it. Because there's nothing worse than the feeling of remorse or doing something and knowing you don't even know if you could have gotten what you wanted. You're living in a space of it could have happened, but we'll never know because I never asked. But if someone tells you no, nothing changed. You're right, except you have peace of mind that you asked. So always, every time, and I get told no a lot, but I also get told yes a lot. So I'm like, we can, or sometimes no was the negotiating starting point. I'm like, no, but no, why?
Maybe not right now.
Yeah. Tell me why no. What can we do to make that go to? So at least I know their position but yeah, it always pays off, even if it's a no, because that's peace of mind. it wasn't going to get any better because they were going to say no either way. I have the peace of mind of knowing that I asked. So, yeah.
That's so powerful. I always say, ask for what you want. Because I mean, yeah, right. Like if it's a no, then maybe it's a not yet, or there's some opportunity for you to grow a skill or something, or learn or do things a different way that you're like, oh, I would have never known that had I not like kind of sought out that feedback. And then they'll know the next time that you're interested in the project or the client or the experience. So your name's already on the list.
They'll know your intention. Like, she wanted this, can't give it to her this time. But next time, hey, remember the thing that you wanted that I couldn't, now I can.
Something
sort of
better came up. Mm-hmm. Totally. All about timing too. Well, let's talk about your matriarch.
Yay. That's my favorite topic.
Yay. Okay, so we're talking about your mom. What's her name?
My mom's name's Toshiko Ishii.
What a beautiful name.
And it is a beautiful name. It's a lot. And she is born in Fukuyama. It's a small, I wouldn't even call it a town. It is a small tin roof dwelling situation outside of Kobe, Japan. Kobe, Japan, it's known for their beef. It's, it's big now, but when she was born, still big, but tiny. And she is around 45 minutes away from there by a river.
Wow. And she lives in California now?
Yes. She came to America when she was 16. She came to America when she was 16, and she moved to Buffalo, New York. She met my dad. They moved to Hawaii, and then they landed here in California.
And did you grow up with her? Were you always close? Did you grow up being her best friend when you were a kid and teenager, or have a tumultuous relationship?
No, I wouldn't say best friends. She definitely was, mom who delegated and did all the things, but my mother has a very gentle spirit. So she's very, more gentle parenting, I would say, so we butted heads, but it was never volatile or explosive. It was just, maybe door slamming is as bad as it got, but she's got a really sweet spirit, and she's very, she didn't have it easy in Japan, in the dwelling by the river. Her life started out really tough. She's one of the children, her father was an American soldier. Her mother was a village girl, fell in love. He tried to stay with her. The military sent him back, because he kept leaving base to be with his wife. They got married. They sent him back to America. So she had this baby, that didn't look like anyone else in the village. My mother's exactly half Black, half Japanese. So her mother took her to an orphanage, dropped her off at the orphanage, and bolted. And, as small village gossip does, everyone was like, came to her mother's mother, her grandmother, the matriarch, and was like, listen, she was also the teacher in that village, where basically she taught everything. There's not grades. She taught from when you're whatever age you drop them off to whatever age you think they've learned everything. So sort of the matriarch of the village, gossip and innuendo. Your daughter had a baby. We saw the baby. She dropped the baby off in an orphanage. So her matriarch, my great grandmother, went to the orphanage where they said that her daughter dropped the baby off, and the orphanage said, no, we don't have anybody here by that name. We'll show you all the paperwork. And she said, well, none of this information on this form is correct, but this is my daughter's handwriting. So give me the baby that came in on this form with this handwriting, because I'm positive this is, it's my daughter, and I teach handwriting for a living. So they gave her the baby, and she got back on the mule cart and paid, I think, 2 yen, and took her back to the tiny village and raised her. So she was raised by. Okay. Yeah, because during that time, those, the babies that were those mixed children, those were the whole generations of them were just pushed down the river. So, she had a chance because her mother took her to the orphanage. And so she was raised, in the tiny village, tin roof, taking a bath in the river, until one day her mother popped up and said, I'm in America. Send me the 16-year-old. So that's how she found her way here. And she was going to school, and she had to cut through school. She had to cut through Sears. And there was this man that kept saying, like, psst, psst. So he went to come here, come here. And so she would run every time he said, come here. So he went to her dad and was like, hey, I think your daughter's really pretty. I want to take her out, but she won't talk to me. What do I do? He said, oh, you can take her to a movie. And so my dad took her to a movie and he said, do you like the popcorn? And she said, yeah. He said, do you like the movie? Because my dad is really shy. Which is why he asked her dad, will you ask your daughter to go out with me? She said, yeah, I like the movie. He said, well, what time do you have to be home? She said, yeah. He was like, oh, you don't speak English. English came here. So it was okay. She learned through cartoons, but it was pre-ESL. So, they were dating and he finished finished medical school and he got a residency out here at the hospital. And he said, let's get married, come with me. And that's how they ended up here.
Oh my gosh.
So growing up with my mother, it's a mouthful, but it is a story. But growing up, her English was good, but again, pre-ESL. So she learned she was very confident in her writing. So I think that's when certain things like, if I'm missing school, can you write the letter? Or you have to call the utility company, you talk to them because my language is a little broken. So she was definitely leaned on me to help her with certain things.
Yeah, even when you were really little.
Was.
Yeah, even when you were really little, it sounds
really
like.
Close.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when you were growing up, did she work outside of the home as well as inside of the home?
Well, she worked outside of the home for a while. She was a translator at the bank from Japanese to the bank had catered to a lot of Japanese customers. So she would translate. And then her and my dad divorced. And then she worked full time outside of the house where she, when you come to this country sometimes and you don't have the English skills are difficult for you. The one thing that's universal is math because 2 + 2 = 4 in any language. There's no inflation and nothing changes. So she's an accountant because in the village, she had an abacus and she was really good at work. So she was an accountant because she's like, well, I know numbers. My English may not be great. I may not be able to talk to everyone there.
Numbers are universal.
Numbers are universal. So she was an accountant for most of my life growing up.
Wow. And what do you think the defining moments of her career and life have been so far?
As she told me, the defining moments of her career, she didn't really have defining moments of her career because she had 3 children. So she wasn't able to do those things where you seek a career that connects with you. Like I have the luxury of doing, you seek a career that brings you joy. You seek at the best you could, in her time, you could have like a coworker at that job you love. So it's fun, but she didn't mind her job, but it definitely wasn't her passion. And, she did tell me once, she's like, I don't know what my passion was. I came here and I had to work really hard because I came here with a backpack, everything I owned in a backpack, and when you have to work that hard and, the opportunities that were available for her, you do what you have to do and you don't get to do what you want to do, all the time on weekends, I'm sure. But, especially with 3 kids, she had 3 daughters, she's busy. Yeah. So career wise, I think I would say her defining moment was that she made it. She went from a village taking a bath in the river to driving a Mercedes. So I think
you did it.
So she did it. She made it. She changed the course of, her bloodline because that, the village, you sleep on your clothes. That's an iron. Like that's how rustic and how, out of sorts we're talking about. So she made it. Even working the jobs you don't love is still, she could choose her own destiny in a sense here. And, but in her life, she loved her kids, she loved her kids. And even though they were separated, her and my dad, that was the love of her life, till he's since passed, but up until he passed, she was like, oh, that for sure. So she was happy.
I love that. And
she loved her kids.
That's ideal. That is, pretty magical. And that they had such a great relationship, even though separated, like a mutual probably love and respect. You still spent and built a life with that person at some point. And now your relationship has changed a little bit since
Yeah.
in the last few years.
Yeah, it's changed in that, like, pre-pandemic, we did notice she was forgetting things, like small, but enough that it was like just kind of obvious. You're forgetting things that don't seem to be. And my mom's she had me when she was 27. So she's a young, she's not at the age where she should be forgetting things. And, believing the fairy tale that I saw in the movies, I was like, oh, she's going to be very aware that she's forgetting things. She was never aware that she was forgetting things. It wasn't like, why don't I remember that? It's just like us telling her, hey, you forgot that. She's like, what? I didn't even know. You don't know that you forgot things. You're not aware of the disease, which is scary, right? Because it's like I could be talking to you and like, wait, what you're doing is you have something and you don't know it, and you can't. There's no way to explain it to you or for you to catch that. So everyone's telling you something's wrong, and you're like, I don't even know. But then later you forget that people even told you something was wrong. So long story short, it didn't go like it did in the movies where it was like cognitive decline. It went from like this to like this to like this to like this. So it kept. And then all of a sudden it just went. I was marking time, how much time I had with her remembering things based on, what it's been like this past year. Right. Oh, this will take a decade or so. She's just forgetting every couple of days. We'll be fine. And then suddenly it jumped to every 5 minutes.
Rapidly.
It changed. So I didn't know that. I thought it would, I didn't know it would just, and it did. And during the pandemic, no one wants to be the one that takes out the matriarch of the family because she coughed on her. So I kept from her, they were sort of on lockdown during the more scary, the beginning where, if you wash your groceries, you could keel over. It's what we're seeing in the news. Exactly. Like it was, do not go around, the elderly because, they were wiping out whole assisted living communities. Yeah. So I was talking to her on the phone and she was nice and polite. And, okay, great. All right. I'm like, still doing, okay, yeah, I'm going to go get it. This, I got it vaccinated. Yeah, it's fine. And then I went to see her. Same. Hi, how you doing? Whatever. I realized you think you're talking to a friend or just some nice lady that they brought into you. You have no idea who I am.
Oh, gosh.
And nobody told me that I don't even know when you forgot me. Because there's nothing and you can't get it back. There is no, like my sister was doing it and I was like, stop doing that. You're just agitating her. Do you know who I am? Oh. Don't you remember? She's not going to remember. That is not possible. You just are. It is what it is. And this is where we are.
And it's because just like we can sit and be and enjoy company as strangers, but it's not gonna, gosh, I'm sure in some cases, maybe things trigger a memory and, I think I know you're familiar, but I'm not sure who, but I can't imagine. Especially the decline happening so quickly that you're like, I thought we had time.
I thought we had so much time. I was like, we'll probably move a little bit, but it went to like nothing jogs. There's, maybe way in the beginning, like a certain song, I know who this is. I'm like, oh, okay. But like at that point, like you're gone. You are erased. You're gone. All those memories. If you had any questions, done. Because she has no idea who you are. And you need to even stop, speaking of matriarch, you even need to stop addressing her as your mother. Because you're hi, Mom.
It's stressful. Mom. Yeah. Who are you?
Who are you? Like,
you're like, I'm not crying. I'm not upset. You can't show because I'm sure that only makes it more irritating or more upsetting.
It does. It feels like even when we're traveling, when we're doing all these amazing things, it feels like you're stuck in a scream, if that makes sense. Like part of you is always in like a yelling scream because I know she's constant. You just don't know. I don't know if she's constantly uncomfortable. I don't know how much of what she perceives as happening is real.
Yeah.
Because she's having a heart attack, my chest, and, I'm talking to medical professionals and they're like, no, she's not having a heart attack. She's not, but but what is the difference? She's perceiving it as real. So even though they're like, she's fine, she's not going to pass out any moment. So,
but over the phone, I'm sure it's so hard to you can only take her words as truth if you're not physically there and you're not a doctor. So you're right. If that's her experience, then oh my gosh, how often do you see her now?
I go and see her as much as possible, but I can't go a lot because we, became an option where she can no longer live at home. I was like, well, maybe if I get help and keep her here. They were like, it's not a thing.
And for anybody, it's not. Oh,
the medical attention she needs. He said, you'd have to put a hospital room in your it's not possible.
High level of care.
Because she's, now she's fully into dementia where it's, she's a little combative. And if she doesn't know she needs specialized care. Right. So she's in a memory care facility, which is kind of like she's got her own apartment and she's got full-time care and they're lovely. So there is peace of mind knowing she's got a full medical staff with her at all times, even though it feels like an apartment. It's not. They're full medical staff.
Nice. That's the best of both.
Yeah, it's the best of both.
I'm
she's
sure
happy. What you want for your parents when they're ill changes to just happy. She's happy, She's very childlike. She's still very sweet. She's still very beautiful. She's just really happy, and I wanted to, when I'm on the, we're traveling, we're on a plane sometimes. If we're not flying private, I'm talking to the person, I see the families traveling together and their mothers with them. That's what I wanted. Oh. I thought she retired. We were going to travel. She could come with me.
You had all the plans.
I had all the plans, but when you make plans, life steps in. So instead of being sad that is not happening, I'm like, well, she's happy. She's happy. She's happy. And that's all I can ask for. But it's difficult when you go to with all these amazing things that we're doing together, even, or I've won a couple of awards this year, the career definers, like
you want to call your mom.
Yeah, you want to call your mom, or, but that's not there. And then, your sisters are coming to you for all the answers. So you have to step in and make sure.
You're like, I'm not prepared for this either.
No, I'm the most capable to handle it. But, that
it's easy.
That's when you realize the role of the matriarch. Like when my phone rings and it's one of my sisters, it's like, what is happening now?
And you're like, have that stress before you even pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm happy she's happy.
Yeah.
I have a couple rapid fire.
Yes.
Sharp pivot, I guess. But what do you admire most about Mom?
She was... I'm aggressive and pushy. She was always soft and sweet.
So sweet. What's one word to describe her?
Sweet.
Sweet, it sounds like, huh? Yeah.
Sweet.
Oh, that's so nice. Is there a song, phrase, beauty tip, piece of jewelry that makes you think of her?
Song, anything by Smokey Robinson. I have a couple of her jewelry, but Chanel No. 5. That sat on her dresser and it was just like shiny and beautiful and expensive, but I wanted it so bad.
The peak of luxury. And I feel like that's a manifestation from a young age, since now you're such a collaborator with Chanel all the time. That must be so magical.
It's not real. I'm living beyond my wildest dreams every single day. Now I can call it 10 bottles of it anytime I want.
I love that.
I started from one spritz to it, but now I'm like, I just have so many bottles.
Spray it everywhere. Everyone's getting Chanel for the holidays. Well, final question. If you could say anything to your mom, what would it be?
Thank you.
It's profound.
Thank you. Yeah, because there's so much in that. Just thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for being brave enough to put your backpack on and come here with no English skills.
And figure it out.
Thank you for figuring it out. Thank you. For you had 3 daughters, but we never wanted anything. She's tiny. My mom's really little. And one of the things she said to me, the thing that sticks with me the most is she said, you are everything I always wanted to be. You're tall and outspoken. And she's so tiny and she's shy. She goes, you're everything I ever wanted to be. Aww. And so she just enjoyed watching me be.
And you enjoyed watching her be.
Yeah.
That's such a sweet mother-daughter relationship. Oh, I so enjoyed talking to you and learning about your mom. And thank you for your time and just gracing us all and letting us all be in your orbit. So inspired by you. You're such an amazing, brilliant artist. And thank you to your mom for raising such cool, talented, warm, empathetic, lovely humans. I only know you, not your siblings, but
thank you.
Thank you. Well, if you want to see more of Tasha, you can find her on Instagram. And your handle is at Tasha Reiko, but spelled with an R, Reiko. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Amazing. So follow her along and see all of her accolades, awards, etc., and her amazing clients and her gallivanting everywhere. Thanks, Tasha.